Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What is the biggest movie theater, gasp, moment you've heard? I would say the reveal at the end of The Sixth Sense was a pretty cool experience to see in the theater. I remember getting ready to go see it when it came out, then my mom asked where I was going. I told her and she said, "That's a good movie. He doesn't know he's dead the whole time." Ruined it for me. My mom, who does not care at all about Star Wars, got to see The Force Awakens in an advanced screening. She comes home and tells us, who do care and bought opening night tickets months in advance, that she's just so sad how they killed Han like that. Quote, jail. Jurassic Park when the dinosaurs first came on the screen. Even so much time later, it's really an impressive scene. The music they were playing still lives in my mind. I will never forget the experience of watching this in the theater. I actually feel bad that teens today are robbed of that experience. It was monumental. I was 10 when it came out. What I remember most was with that scene, when Richard Attenborough says, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and it pans to the valley, and someone in the theater very close by was extremely choked up by it. I'd imagine that it would be like my dad talking about seeing Star Wars when it came out, growing up seeing the usual, man in the alien suit, B-movies and then seeing something that raised the bar so significantly all at once. Inglourious Bastards. I was living in Germany at the time and saw the movie in an original version theater. These show films in the original audio, helps for expats but are mainly attending by bilingual Germans who don't like dubs. The scene at the bar. Michael Fassbender holds up 3 fingers. A huge gasp echoes throughout the theater. I look around, what did I miss? Closing parenthesis dot. By looking around, you gave yourself away. Derchi. That is so cool. My answer is also this movie, but a different scene. I, and my theater's crowd, didn't realize it would be an alternate history movie, so there was a definite audience reaction while the last couple minutes unfolded. Yep, I saw it opening weekend and the whole time you're thinking how is this going to go horrible wrong because obviously Hitler and all the top brass didn't die like that. But when they shoot Hitler, holy fuck, the theater went wild with clapping and cheering. Also I saw it in Boston a few blocks from Fenway, when that scene where they're talking about Teddy Williams, the theater also went bananas. That was a super fun theater experience. What's in the box? Women behind me were sobbing hysterically. Much of the theater was shaken up. I think the first big gasp in that movie though was the target who wasn't quite dead yet. This is correct. People jumped out their seats. Saw it in theaters as a teenager. This was definitely the jump scare where someone decided to shit in my pants. Was it not an embarrassing photo of SpongeBob at the Christmas party? Thanos actually snapping, followed by a deafening silence while everyone got dusted. I think also the follow-up in Endgame with the 5 years later. I'll never forget the cheers in the theater when you hear, on your left, and everyone starts hopping out of the portals. Still get chills whenever I watch that scene. The whole theater sat there in silence. Every other Marvel movie I've seen in theaters was always filled with people bantering through the credits. We all watched in somber silence and anxious anticipation that we would see some sort of reassurance in the post-credit scene. Then watching Fury and Hill get blipped was a twist of the knife. Signs. That scene from the kid's birthday party in Brazil. You know the one. Saw this in theater with my mom. She screamed and grabbed my hand so hard I thought she was going to break it. Then later she just randomly screamed at a quiet part of the movie when nothing was really happening. I gave her a WTF look and she just looked sheepish and whispered, "I don't know." Went to South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut on opening night. Walked in to start looking for seats and was shocked about how many kids were in seats with their parents. Movie gets to the Uncle F*** song and all the parents realized it wasn't a kids movie, audible gasp. Exclamation mark. I like how the title of Bigger, Longer and Uncut didn't raise any red flags to these parents lol. Holy shit, I just understood this even is a double entendre from your comment loudly crying. Edit to include, I'm 44, and I saw this film in the cinema when it came out. I went to see Bruno in theaters. A dad and his 5 and 8-year-old daughter sat in front of us. About 10 minutes in he stands up and screams, "Come on girls, this is disgusting," and looks back at everyone in the theater like his mistake was somehow our fault. I had a similar experience at a midnight showing of Bad Santa. Some parents are ridiculous. I worked at Microsoft when that movie came out. A bunch of us went to an afternoon showing as a team event at the theater down the street. It was packed with Microsoft employees and contractors. When the general chews out Bill Gates and shoots him in the head, the theater erupted. It was the opposite of a stunned silence, but I'll remember it forever. Open mouth smile. The call is coming from inside the house. When a stranger calls, this one ages me. I remember hearing the entire audience gasp. I saw it with my dad. Then we each went to our own homes. I didn't have kids yet, just hamsters. I got a phone call. It was my dad saying in an eerie voice, "Have you checked the hamsters?" We still laugh about that. 46 years later. God, I'm old. Mellish being slowly stabbed in Saving Private Ryan. It was striking in the audible gasps because half the theater went dead wide-eyed silent, so you could hear the other half that gasped, and then everyone was quiet. It was after a long trail of brutal storytelling, so it seemed all the more impactful that everyone's lungs would still react so viscerally. And the Jeremy Davies character just not doing anything. I love this point whenever it comes up. Spielberg talked about how Saving Private Ryan was intended to show viscerally how war is hell, and many of the scenes all the way from the opening to the end show exactly that. What he initially struggled with was how to connect that to the audience without just showing violence, and Upham was the solution. He's intended to be the audience in the movie. He's inexperienced in combat, has a rather rosy view of war in terms of wanting to write a book about the bonding and brotherhood in war, and is incredibly scared during his first encounter with live fire combat. Contrast that with how he shoots the German soldier in the end, and you can witness his transformation and true understanding of the concept of war, much like we the audience now more fully understand. That scene with the Mellish bayonet stabbing in particular is purposefully meant to convey the helplessness that the audience feels in the moment. Masterfully done by Spielberg, as usual. The chest-bursting scene in Alien. It may be hard for modern audiences to understand, but when Alien came out, we had no information about the movie at all. I literally saw the movie poster as I was walking by the theater and decided to go in. I'm sure every one of us in the audience gasped at that scene. I watched the Alien movies with my wife because she'd never seen them and I loved the shit out of them. She thought the first one was mid because it was trope-y and therefore easy to tell exactly what was going to happen. I had to explain to her that this movie is the reason many of those tropes existed. Opening weekend of Get Out, when Chris is strangling Rose and the police car shows up. We've all watched him fight his way through the worst racists, barely managing to escape, and then for a moment we're reminded, oh yeah, the world exists, and then when Rod steps out and it's a TSA car, the audience lost their minds with relief. When I hear about the OG ending Jordan Peele wanted, bro, I don't think I could have survived that ending after everything that happened in the movie. Let my man have one win in this hellish nightmare, please. Never heard this one. I assume it was that Chris was recaptured. T.S. Motherfuckin', hey. I am a leaf on the wind, watch how I. He ain't coming, hurt so bad. Nathan Fillion, and in the role of Mal specifically, is a master of holding flippant humor and deadly seriousness in one person. The grief in that line is really something. Too soon, man. Seriously, this one is always too soon. It still hurts. How do reavers clean their harpoons? They put them through the wash. Quote, alt version, why doesn't Mal take Serenity out anymore? Because it needs a wash. In Jojo Rabbit, when he sees the shoes. I feel like most movies the plots are so telegraphed that I am rarely surprised by the twists in them. I audibly gasped at this scene. Same, the foreshadowing was so incredibly done to really get the full gut punch of this scene, and yet I didn't see it coming at all. Whole screen gasped. We'll never forget it. No, I am your father. I was 5. The theater gasped. My dad yelled, holy shit. Quote, this was my uncle. Said it was the biggest gasp he ever heard in a theater, followed by another one when Luke just decides to freefall off the catwalk. Again followed by rolling gasps throughout the theater as people figure out the implications of Leia hearing Luke force, not the other one. He was also in a college town surrounded by guys in their teens and 20s on opening night. Basically, the target audience of the OB trilogy. No, I Am Your Father, really, saw this in the theater, along with the rest of the world, in 1980. Second biggest was in Bruce Almighty, when Bruce got up in God's face and said, you suck, quote. Bruce dropping the F-bomb was the first time a lot of kids my age heard fuck in the cinema. What a roller coaster of emotions that was. Back to you, FF fuckers. The Green Mile, the one execution that goes horribly wrong. He didn't know the sponge was supposed to be wet. Fucking Percy. There are few movie characters I have hated more than Percy Whitmore. Finding out the actor is such a scumbag made it worse. I thought he did know, which is what made it worse. Yes, he did know. I think he made a motion that he dumped the sponge but didn't. He did know. I read the story of the Green Mile quite a while before seeing the film, and it was deliberate by Percy. I will say that they did a great job when casting the roles in the film. Percy was just how I'd imagined him when reading it, a horrible, whiny bully. The guy whose job it was to wet the sponge pretended to do so but kept it above the water in the bucket. There's no questioning that he did it on purpose. Even has a curious sadistic look when he does it if I remember right, then shock, disgust and regret when he sees the result. American History X. The scene with the curb. My dad was stationed in Alaska in the late 60s and apparently racial tension was so bad up there he asked to go to Vietnam, but Nike missile techs weren't really needed in Vietnam like it was in Alaska, so he was denied. He and a buddy were jumped at a gas station by half a dozen black guys and they curb stomped my dad's friend. They were about to do it to my dad, but one of them said, "Nah, let him go, I know him." So they just left him there. My dad didn't know the guy. My dad's wife at the time, first of 3, my mom was number 3, was fucking the guy, and he'd seen my dad's picture when he was at my dad's apartment fucking his wife while my dad was not there. That's how he recognized my dad. So yay, I guess, his first wife's proclivities saved him. Jesus Christ, this story has more ups and downs than a Ron Jeremy flick. Lol, I'm fucking this dude's wife, he's taking enough LS from me. I was in the back of a tiered theater and it was like a shockwave hit.